It's the Beast 100 OP. Yeah.
What's happening, gamers? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing something a bit different. A full clean and thermal putty and paste replacement for my Xbox Series S. Now I've had this around 5 years now, and once partially cleaned it by removing the dust. This was around 3 years ago. This time we're going deeper, a full clean, and I want to know what condition this is in further under the hood. I noticed the fan coming on much sooner than normal, and feeling the heat from the vents, it was very hot. So let's see what's going on. I really hope this works. First, I'd like to talk you through my kit and setup. Right, so first is the toolkit. This is made by Honesty. It's good value, but other brands are available, of course. So as you can see, this does say just cleaning brush. It is not an anti-static brush, or ESD, which is electrostatic discharge brush. Best way to test this is you can rub the brush along the hairs on your arms, and if they attract to the bristles or stand on end, there will be some level of static, which is why we have the makeup brushes here to the right. With the same test, there was zero static, and it's a very soft brush, which is what you need for the more internal components like the motherboard. Next, we have isopropyl alcohol. Between 91 and 99.9% is safe to use on electrical equipment as it evaporates very fast. And the cotton buds and pads you can see to the left are how I will apply that product. Also, don't be a silly sausage. Unplug your Xbox before you do any work like this. Compressed air. This helps us reach them hard to get to places like your PSU, where you can't really take it apart unless you really know what you're doing. Brushes will not reach inside. It just helps you remove that dust and push dust out of the vents. Then we've got just some standard surface cleaner and a blue cloth. This is just to clean the outside casing. Do not, I repeat, do not spray or use any chemicals on internal components of your Xbox. Then we've got just a glass pot just to keep all the loose screws in. And to the left there, you can see some pliers. This will help us later on remove the X clamp a bit deeper into the Xbox. Now for the fun stuff. Grizzly Chrononaut Thermal Paste. This bridges the gap between the APU and the heatsink to ensure efficient heat transfer. And with that, Grizzly Chrononaut Thermal Putty to replace the original putty within the Series S used on the RAM modules and to fill the gaps between the chips and the heatsink, also aiding the heat transfer. So here's the full list of equipment. I will also leave links in the description if you choose the same products. Remember, there are other products out there, but hopefully this helps you. So also, please remember, I am not a professional. This is an amateur clean from an Xbox fan. I have done lots of research, so I believe I know what I'm doing. If there are any professionals out there that watch this video, please leave a comment on anything you notice I do wrong or right to help the community. This video is not intended to mislead, but prove it is possible. That being said, this all might go tits up, so stick around to find out. So let's get right in. First of all, you want to find the back of the Xbox, locate these areas here, and use the tweezers to remove the stickers. Then we use our T8 Torx screwdriver to remove the screws. This then enables you to slide off the bottom panel. As you can see, it's already looking pretty dirty. Then using your T10 Torx screwdriver, you want to remove the 7 green screws. Then by gently prying the sides outwards, you should be able to pull the internal unit from the outer casing. And once again, you can see the dust build up here, and this is just after a few years. It's highly recommended to do it yearly. We don't always have the time for that, but this is about 3 years after I last cleaned it. Then with your cleaning brush, you want to wipe away any loose dust, making sure you pay attention to all of the vents. And just for good measure, use your compressed air to blow through the vent and just get rid of any remaining dust that you can. When using compressed gas, make sure you use short, sharp bursts, especially within the internal components. Then you will see I use the surface cleaner and blue cloth to try and scrub the Xbox case in. This didn't work very well, as you will see in this video. So then I grab the isopropyl alcohol, and you will see this makes a massive difference. Now from here, you want to switch from your cleaning brush to your anti-static brush or your ESD brush. Next, you want to get your T8 Torx screwdriver and remove the accessory board that handles the front USB port and the button board or power board containing the power button and sync bind button. Same process again here. This board is on the side, the network wireless board. This manages the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connectivity. Now using your T10 Torx screwdriver, remove the small silver screws. There should be 9 of them on the base of this unit. This helps us remove the top so we expose the PSU and the cooling fan. Then you just want to give the top cover a clean, just like we did with the outer casing. Try your best to avoid the areas that tear the cotton pads. If it does tear the cotton pads, just remove it by hand. Then we need to remove the PSU. We need to clean the PSU and all the vents with the anti-static brush. And at the end of this segment, you will see we also use the gas to push the remaining dust out of the vents. So now we need to disconnect the fan. Now we have access to the connector. Some people like to flip the fan over, but as it's so dusty, I didn't want to get more dust on the motherboard. This then reveals the heatsink, which we will get to a little bit later on. Using your ESD brush, lightly brush the fan and remove as much dust as you can. Then you want to use your T8 screwdriver to remove the 4 black screws on the base of the unit. Then you'll need to slide the clip above the USB port up and then lift the motherboard out of the casing. Once again, using your soft anti-static brush, give the motherboard and the heatsink a nice clean. That's right, you guessed it. Now we've got to clean the base. Just be very careful not to touch the putty or get dust on it. Also, we will give this a clean with some isopropyl alcohol. Next, you need to flip over the motherboard so we can remove the heatsink. Once you've done that, you'll see the X clip. This can be a little bit tricky. I'll try and zoom in for you here so you can see just how you can just pop off each of the 4 sides. Get your pliers just under the first part of the metal, then twist towards the center. You need to apply a little bit of pressure here and it will just pop off. Also, be very careful not to scratch the motherboard. This is a sensitive bit of equipment. I'll leave the sound on here so you can see my natural reaction to what I find.
Oh wow, yeah. Oh,
And
wow.
as you can see, there is literally no thermal paste left. Now it does usually spread over the sides. That's usually not an issue as far as I'm aware, but there is literally no thermal paste on the APU.
Okay, that's a big problem.
Then, being as careful as I can, I remove the dust around the area and over the motherboard, and also the heatsink, the areas I couldn't reach earlier. Now I just grab a cotton bud to remove the thermal putty from around the edges, and I attempt to remove the thermal paste. Again, you will hear my natural reaction.
Okay, this is tougher to get off than I thought.
So this paste became like concrete. So what I did is persist. It took me maybe up to 10 minutes here just to keep working away at it, keep adding a little bit more alcohol, and finally we got there. Then we repeat the process on the APU itself. I did struggle to get the thermal paste off the outer side. I didn't want to damage the motherboard or keep going with it. Leave a comment if I could be a bit rougher with it, but I just didn't want to mess with that area and the chips around it. But as you can see, the APU itself, we got absolutely spotless. Then we grabbed our orange plastic scraper and got rid of the remaining putty. Then we just fully clean the area with the isopropyl alcohol and a cotton bud. Then I applied the thermal paste. I've seen people that do a dot and then just attach. I like the spread method. I may have put a little bit too much on here, but considering it had literally none on it before, I just wanted to ensure that I had full coverage of the APU. Leave your comments if you think it was too much, if you think I did a good job. It's the first time I've done it. I just wanted to make sure I got full coverage on it. So the next stage, the bit I was dreading and the things I heard about this putty, it is very hard to work with. I instantly make a mistake with it by using my gloves, which you will see in a minute. There are other brands out there which some professionals recommend. I wanted to try this. I do recommend using the tools that are provided. Also, wearing the gloves is important overall. Also, please ensure that you wait until everything is thoroughly dried from the alcohol, just so everything sticks properly. And obviously, do not turn on any electrical equipment while it's still wet. It does dry very quickly and evaporate, but just give it a bit of time and then get to work. In the end, I gain my composure and then grab both of the spreading tools, and it is a lot easier. It's still a little bit fiddly. Just take your time. And I think I got there in the end with it. But yeah, do not put it on the gloves. Next, we're going to apply putty to the storage expansion module, which is located under the PSU. We removed a little bit of it earlier. The rest of it will be removed shortly. Okay, look, it's not the prettiest job. I'll be honest, it's my first time doing this, but let me know in the comments, do you think I've used enough? Do you think I've used too little? I just wanted to, again, make sure I had full coverage and it not just go everywhere. Then, like I said earlier, we're just removing the old putty off the bottom of the PSU as we've just applied the new stuff onto the storage module. Then, just to ensure everything is clean, we use isopropyl once more. So now we need to put it all back together. Starting with the heatsink, we put this back onto the APU. We want to ensure we put a bit of firmness onto this just so that we can spread that paste and the thermal putty and just get a nice clean contact there. And then we just need to put the X clamp back on. That will hold the heatsink in place. You can get it on with your hand, maybe a couple of them, but just do the reverse with the pliers and you just push out away from the center just until you can click them on. It can be a little bit tricky. Just make sure that you don't scratch the motherboard. So I decided in the end not to change these bits of putty. They seemed absolutely fine. They were still a little bit moist, whereas the other bits of putty were breaking apart and actually quite dry. So I decided to leave these bits in there. We then need to carefully slot the motherboard back into the base. And then with the metal corner piece, you want to slot this back over the USB slot. Then grab your fan, put it over the heatsink the way it was. The easiest way to tell is the cable is usually bent the right way round. Yeah, now it's time for the PSU. I did put it in earlier. I've edited that out. Obviously, then I couldn't get access to plug the fan in. So, duh moment from me. Again, we're applying a little bit of pressure just to ensure good connection with the thermal putty. Next, you want to put the top casing back on, applying a little bit of pressure, making sure it's secure. Then you want to flip the Xbox over, ensuring that you're holding both cases together, and then re-screw in the 9 silver screws. Then you want to grab your T8 Torx screwdriver, grab your 4 black screws with flat heads and screw them around the X on the base of the unit. Then we need to reattach the daughter boards, the power board, accessory board, and on the side, the network wireless board using the black screws with the flat tops. Then you want to get the outer casing, putting it face down on the table. Then you can get the inner unit and just ensure at the bottom right you can see in the casing that your USB port is through the slot. Now this bit can be a little bit fiddly. Once you've got the inner unit inside the case, just pry the sides open like we did earlier, gently as to not break the casing, and it should slot into place. Now we need to grab the T10 torque screwdriver, and then we need to insert and screw in the large green screws. There should be 7 of these, which will attach the case to the central unit. Next, we want to put the Xbox back on its face so we can easily slide in the base casing. Now this can be a little bit tricky. There is a sweet spot. It doesn't slide all the way in. Just play around with it. You'll find the sweet spot. It's about an inch away from the back of the unit, and then it will just slot in very nicely. Then with your 2 remaining black screws, just secure the base casing.
Right, so here we go, moment of truth. And we're loaded up. So there you go. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Full clean, thermal paste and thermal putty as well. So, and I'll let you know in the future if it's improved performance. Thanks for watching, but for now, latest.